I probably could do a part of this intro in reverse, but you know what? It just feels good to be back at the movies again.
We need to save him here and now.
This reversing the flow of time doesn't us being here now mean it never happened.
So Tenet is the latest film from Christopher Nolan, and it stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, and Elizabeth Debicki. And to give you guys the basic gist, like the basic gist of the plot possible, we follow a character played by John David Washington as he is essentially tasked to try to prevent World War III. That is really, honestly, just scratching the surface of this movie. Alrighty guys, so let's get into Tenet. Alright, so when it comes to Tenet, obviously you all know that I was looking forward to this movie a lot. When it comes to a film made by Christopher Nolan, I mean, Christopher Nolan is one of the greatest filmmakers working today. Knowing he was trying to take on his own concept of a spy movie, I was down. And yes, to let you guys know, my local theater did open up, and I was originally hesitant, but I asked my buddy Real James, which by the way, check out his content below, he makes amazing stuff. He was telling me, okay, if you really want to go see this movie during this pandemic, don't go during peak show times, and definitely do not go during the weekend. I did go during a Thursday night, and there was maybe only, 10 of us in the theater. When I walked into my local AMC, I felt safe. Even when there were that amount of people in there, they were keeping their distance, they had their masks on, and everyone was very respectful, so I honestly felt safe going back into the movies. But anyways, getting right back to it. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the entire year, and I had surprisingly heard mixed things. There were some people that were loving this movie, and then there were some people that didn't love it so much. Where do I stand? I really dug Tenet a lot. Everyone is very good in this movie. No one is amazing in this film per se, but easily John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki definitely give the best performances of this movie. The most I can say about John David Washington is this: he has a great screen presence. I mean, if you've seen him in BlacKkKlansman, you will know how much of a great actor he is. And that's really the most I can say about him. Robert Pattinson was really good as well, and if you guys still think he is not a great actor, watch Tenet along with Good Time in the Lighthouse, and if you still don't think he's a good actor, I don't know what to say. But honestly, if I were to say the character that I was most emotionally connected to, that'd easily be Elizabeth Debicki, because she is the one who actually has something worth fighting for in terms of this movie. And also I gotta say, Kenneth Branagh plays this Bond-esque like villain who, I will say something about him a little bit, but it looked like he had a great time playing this part. Also, something else that I loved about this movie, and you could say this about every other Christopher Nolan movie too, this movie is shot beautifully, especially if you see this in IMAX. I mean, if you don't see this movie in IMAX, I feel like there's really no point in seeing this on one of the biggest screens possible. What Hoyt Van Hoyama, I'm pretty sure I'm butchering his name, what he is able to do with an IMAX camera is absolutely insane in this movie. What Christopher Nolan and his DP are able to capture in camera, there are multiple times in this movie to which you'll probably think, how in the hell did they do this? There are multiple times within this movie that did happen. And to add on top of that with the cinematography, the action sequences, again, how? In particular, there is a fight scene that takes place in a hallway. There are multiple times of what certain things that happen, like the smallest little details that happen in this scene, that I was constantly with my jaw open. I'm still trying to fathom how he's able to do it. As you all know, this film deals with the concept of time not only going forward, but also going backwards. And there are some parts and scenes where you see that happening, and given the scope of this movie, bravo. One thing in particular that I have to praise about this movie as well is the score by Ludwig Göransson. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. If not, I'm so sorry. What Ludwig has done for the score in this movie is nothing short of genius. And not only did I love the electronic score he's able to bring into this thing, but one thing in particular that I thought was absolutely brilliant is, like I mentioned before, there are times in this movie where the story is not only told in forward, but also reverse. Ludwig experiments with that, and there's a couple of times in which he incorporates that into the music that I thought was just absolutely incredible. In particular, the score for the opening sequence, I have not stopped playing that in my head. So is Tenet my favorite movie from Christopher Nolan? No. In fact, I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. Honestly, one of the weakest aspects of this movie was honestly the characters. When it comes to the characters of this movie, you maybe know the bare minimum of these characters, and like I mentioned, the most that you know about of a character is from Elizabeth Debicki, but otherwise, when it comes to characters played by, let's say, John David Washington or Robert Pattinson, you probably know slim to nothing about these two. When it comes to Kenneth Branagh, who it looked like he was having a fun time on the screen, but honestly, his character just came off as a generic Bond villain. In terms of the motivation that he has, it's just generic. What I'll say about the first half of Tenet is this. After an amazing opening sequence, Christopher Nolan does a great job, in fact a terrific job of that, of making the concept of inversion very simple to understand. However, it seemed like it was at the cost of the characters and the relationships that they have with one another. And it's not just the characters and the relationships, but everything that's going on. I feel like that even if you pay 100% attention, there are still some parts you'll just think, say that again, please? And this goes into the sound itself. One thing that I've noticed that Christopher Nolan has done, especially with Interstellar, there are conversations that Matthew McConaughey's character is having with other people, and the sound mix is so high with the music and the bass is so high that I couldn't understand what was being said during the conversations. Now, it's not quite as bad as it was in Interstellar, but there were definitely, I think, 2 or 3 scenes I could think of off the top of my head to where there were characters that I feel like were explaining very important things that were happening within what was happening. I feel like more than maybe even 3 viewings will take to understand what was being said. Multiple viewings for certain films will definitely help, but when it comes to the cost of trying to understand and doing multiple viewings just to understand what was being said, that's kind of an annoyance. So overall, is Tenet my favorite Christopher Nolan movie? No. However, at the same time, it still has everything you come to expect from a Christopher Nolan movie. It's cerebral, it looks absolutely amazing, and there are multiple times in which you'll think, how in the hell did he do that? Even if it's a bit confusing at first, especially in that first half, the sound mixing isn't the greatest at times, and the relationships with the characters aren't the greatest. Nonetheless, though, Christopher Nolan once again delivers one hell of a blockbuster that should be definitely seen on the biggest screen with the loudest screen possible. With the loudest speakers. So all in all, I'm going to give Tenet a 4 to 5 stars. Like I mentioned before, not my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. I wouldn't say my least favorite, but probably my weaker Christopher Nolan movies. I can imagine a rewatch will probably fix that, but guys, nonetheless, I know we're still in the middle of a pandemic. I would only go recommend this movie if you feel safe enough to go to your local theater. Alrighty guys, so comment down and let me know below. What is your favorite Christopher Nolan movie of all time? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm also on Snapchat and Stardust. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope y'all enjoyed my review of Tenet. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and do not forget to hit that notification bell whenever the latest video of mine goes live. If you guys want to see any of my previous 2 videos, please click right there or there. And of course, until my next review, I will see you all next time.